Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David Wood, your host for the Fire Marshal Show this week, and I'm with Fire Marshal Brian Fine. And Brian, a lot of stuff going on, and of course you've mentioned to me that there's a hot topic out there right now, and it is heaters.
Exactly, yeah. We've had 4 fires in the last week that have all directly been related to heaters. And some of them have, one of them is actually a heater, a space heater that was put too close to something and caught that on fire. The rest have actually just been either malfunctioning or older heater or blower motors or something like that that have gone out. But you know, it's been a while. We had a really hot summer. We had a long, warm spring last year, and so it's been a while since anybody's turned their heaters on. And now we're starting to get these freezing temperatures. People are starting to turn them on, and we're starting to get these fires that are happening. And what we're trying to do is let everybody know. Go out there. Don't turn the first time you turn your heater on. Don't make it the night before you go. At night before you go to bed. Try to do it during the day. Turn it on so you can sit there and make sure that everything's working and functioning properly. Electric, gas. There's a lot of different things that be going on with them. So check it. Before you put your head down for the night and all that. Once you get that done, and you're sure the system's good, then you're fine. If you have an older home or you've had problems with it or there's any issues whatsoever, call service person. Have them come out, check your unit, and make sure everything's okay on it. And there's some of the things like the blower motors. The service repairman's not going to catch that it's going. He may say, yeah, it's old, but he's not going to know the bearings are going out because it's going to be the continuous running that's going to cause it. So, just caution, common sense.
So it's not a good idea for me to take my space heater and put it under the electric blanket with me.
Exactly, right. Yeah, that's a bad thing.
I'm very cold natured.
Yep, that's
right?
a bad
and,
thing.
Sometimes, but I'll stop doing that, I promise.
Yep, and that's one of the things that actually we've had fires where they've pulled the space heaters up real close to the beds, and I understand it. It's cold. Maybe the significant other sleeps colder than you do, so they want the heat on that side and all stuff. Get an electric blanket. That's the easiest way, because these heaters, they start putting off a lot of heat, and depending on how old they are, there's some people that have ones that are, their grandparents gave them. They don't have all those faults built into them if they're knocked over and all that stuff to shut off. So nowadays you can get some new ones that are really cheap, price wise. Do the job. So if you got an old one, replace it, get a new safe one. Don't put it close to the bed, don't put it close to the couch or anything like that. Don't use extension cords for them. That's one of the other things. Extension cords, because that heater's generating heat and it's pulling a lot of electricity to do that. Typically extension cords aren't rated for them unless you're using one of your outdoor good industrial style, but just the normal little brown ones that we all got in the home that are really dangerous. Those aren't designed for that. So
now, I noticed on my calendar the other day, it said first day of winter. I had it circled. And I learned a long time ago that is the best time when the seasons change to check your smoke detectors, make sure that you have, operational batteries in there and that they're wired properly. But also, you brought up the issue about the heaters, and, a lot of people use propane or they use gas, and there are actually some detectors that can detect those fumes. And talk to us about that and what they should look for, and if they don't know what they look for, do you offer a service where you'll come out there and check that stuff for them?
Sure. We've got, for detectors, there's a multitude of detectors out there, and there's some companies that'll come out there and sell you smoke detectors for $1,000 and all that stuff. You don't need to spend the money on them. You can go to Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, any of the places that carry that type of supplies, and there's 2 different types. There's the photosensitive one, there's an ionizing one, and one is better than the other. I'm not going to get into a debate about that because that's still being debated at the national level on which one's better, but I will tell you that we've done some tests and stuff like that, and if you go online, you'll see what the difference is in them. And you'll know which one's better because the price reflects it. When you get one for $5 and one for $35, kind of gives you an idea which one's a little bit better. However, both are good and both will do the job. What it is, one just responds a little bit faster. One responds, I'd almost say, to cigarette smoke type, that real light. The other one requires a little more smoke before it trips. But get your smoke detectors, get them installed. If you can't install them, or you cannot purchase them yourselves, can't afford to purchase them, get a hold of my office. We do have programs out there through the local fire departments where they'll come out and install your smoke detectors, or possibly, we're a little bit low on stock right now, but we have smoke detectors we can get out there and give to the residents. So that's one thing. You've got, there's CO2 detectors out there, there's radon detectors out there, all that stuff. Those are great, they work great, and the radon detectors are mounted at the floor level. CO2 detectors are mounted just like smoke detectors. Some smoke detectors actually have a combination. They're smoke and CO2 detectors. Those, you can get into the $50, $60 for those. All of them are great, and all of them do what they're supposed to do. Those CO2 detectors really helps out. If you've got a home that's all electric, you really don't need it. But if you're running natural gas or something like that, it doesn't hurt to have some of the CO2 detectors in there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And here in Granbury, we have in Hood County, we have a lot of what I call treasures, and that's our senior citizens. And some of them just don't want to get up on that chair. They don't want to get up on a ladder and reach there. And sometimes their families are displaced, but your office will come out there and help them
Exactly.
if they need, and if for their safety, they need to do so.
Oh, exactly. By all means, call us, and if we can't do it, we'll get a hold of whatever the local fire department is, because that's exactly, it's their safety. We're concerned about their safety. The fire prevention side of it, we want to get out there and do everything we can to make sure they're safe, that if a fire does happen in their home, they're able to get out. We've been very fortunate in this county. We had the tragedy, out there in Port Ridgely, and that was a very unusual situation that occurred. But everything else, we've been fortunate. The fire that we went on this morning, smoke detector is what alerted the homeowner. So that's what we need to be using, need to be aware, and we're happy to go out there and help and get these things put in place. So
Another thing I wanted to talk about was, burn ban is lifted, and you can burn within the county, but even though we've had a significant amount of rainfall, and you have some coming, and the freezing temperatures are coming out, and that sort of thing, people still need to be very cautious about burning.
yes, by all means, it's the last couple of weeks we've seen those winds kicking up again, those windy days, and even though it's rained, we've had brush trucks get stuck in the mud trying to fight grass fires because it rained, but the fuel's still dead on top. It's not in the growing phase anymore, and we get those winds out there and they start pushing them and all that. But yeah, by all means, be very cautious with it. A couple things have actually changed, excuse me, with the way the laws are written for the state. Used to be that it was the county itself and the municipalities and all that put a lot of the requirements on as far as what for doing a control burn. The state has now come down, and through TCQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, they have now put it at the state level where it says you must be with the fire if you're doing a controlled burn. That was never at the state level before. So they've now said, yes, a controlled burn has to be manned. Thank God. We've been fighting that for years, trying to get that in there, because light a fire, take off and drive away is not good common sense. So that's changed. And then the other thing that's changed, and which is real nice for everybody that's called my office, especially this time of year. It used to be that you couldn't do a campfire after dark unless it was ceremonial, cooking, or for warmth. So when people call up, they got family coming in for the holidays and all stuff. Well, can we do a campfire? We tell them just make sure you roast the marshmallows and you're okay because you're cooking. They've actually now changed it to recreational fire is actually a new category in there. So it's okay to have those campfires after dark now. You don't have to call my office and ask it for permission to do it. It's okay. We've advised our dispatch. So if your neighbor's calling in, your neighbors will be informed when dispatch tells them, says, no, it's legal to be having their campfire after dark. So still can't do a controlled burn after dark, but campfire and controlled burn are different by definition.
Now, as long as I'm about 40 feet away from the fire, can I still have my space heater out there?
There you go. Yeah, just don't use an extension cord though.
No extension cord, but I can have my electric blanket wrapped,
Exactly. So
space heater, and the campfire,
Yep, and you'll
That'll
be
be good.
nice and toasty.
and I'll be legal. There you go.
Probably melted, but you'll be legal.
This time of the year, holiday season, change of weather, getting a little cooler. People are going to be using their fireplaces again. And we want to just make people aware that they need to have that chimney checked.
Yes,
And they
yes.
need to make sure that the damper opens and closes and that sort of thing, because
Exactly.
asphyxiation can also kill you.
Oh yeah. That's every year we get quite a few, not necessarily fires, but potential fires where people forgot to open their damper back up, and wife's in cooking dinner and husband's in lighting the fire. Next thing you know, wife's yelling at husband, hey, it's smoke in here. What's going on? And about that time, the fire's really going good because he had a really good kindling pile going, and he can't get to the damper to open it up. So we get called out there, able to get in there, and we usually those are usually pretty nice because for us they're simple. We get in there, we open the damper up, vent the fire, and then ventilate the house. Put some fans in and all that stuff. But yeah, by all means, check that. Make sure because it has been warm for a while. We haven't had
Extremely
the
warm.
cold
Yes.
temperatures. Make sure no birds have nested in your chimney. Make sure that if you've done any type of construction, there's, depending on what style of chimney you have, if you have a true fireplace, what we remember as fireplaces, that's brick and concrete and all stuff. It's not a metal tube running up through the middle of those have a tendency to settle and crack and all that stuff and cause problems. And then same with the new ones, the metal ones, they can shift and all that stuff as well. Just take a look, and if you're confident and you've lived there for years and years and years, it's as simple as sticking your head in there, open up your flue, look up through the damper, and make sure you can see all the way to the top and that you don't see anything out of the ordinary. Preferably call professional service, have them come out and check it if there's any questions.
And a lot of people don't realize that because of the extreme temperatures that we had this summer, a lot of those birds have nested in these fireplaces.
Yeah, cooler.
And if they clog that thing up, you could be in serious risk. So this year especially, have those chimneys checked.
Exactly, and with the heat that we had, such a long period of it, that also tends to dry out the masonry and all that stuff. So you have the potential for more cracks. Again, any doubts, call somebody, have them come inspect it, check it out. Look in the yellow pages, get a service to come out and take care of it for you.
My final note that I had was that as the season winds down and the year winds down, it's also a good time to put it on your calendar, have your fire extinguishers checked. If you have them in your home, have them checked. This is the time of the year to do it, and they can actually bring them to your department. Is that correct?
They can bring them over. We'll check, make sure all the inspection tags are good. If they're out of date or something like that, then we'll refer them over to a service. One of the things with fire extinguishers, and it kind of goes back with smoke detectors as well. If you go when we do the time change, when we do it in the spring, when we do it in the fall, if you check change your batteries and your smoke detectors at the time change, and also take your fire extinguisher that's been sitting in the kitchen for the last year, take it, turn it upside down, hold it upside down for a while, turn it back over, do it a couple times, because what happens, those powder extinguishers, that powder starts packing down in there. So, and if you do it twice a year, should be good. When you need it, it'll be there, be ready to work. So
That's right. So in recapsule, main thing to remember right now, of course, is those heaters. You don't
Yes.
want to see Mr. Fine at your home at a very inopportune time. And it's very simple. Just keep it away from things. Make sure that you don't have an extension cord, and make sure that you don't have it up under the covers with you like I used to.
and the lady this morning was she kept apologizing for calling 911. Call 911. If you see smoke, you have a problem, whatever, call us. I got there, that was the first one on scene. The engine was right on my heels, but as soon as I talked to her, found out what was going on, shut the power. I was able to shut the power off. Don't do it yourself unless you know where to shut the power off for what units. I happen to know with this unit where to shut stuff off. But shut it off and call 911. I mean, that's what we're there for. I would much rather us go out and do like we did this morning, where it was power was shut off. We were able to identify that it was the heating unit itself. We shut the breakers and everything off for that unit, turned the power back on in the house, ran some electric fans, ventilated some gas-powered fans, ventilated the house. Her and her daughter were able to get ready to go to school and work today. Call a repairman to come out and fix it. The house was still intact. You don't call 911. That stuff tends to, bite you in the butt, burn down, and next thing you know, there's nothing left.
Boy, thank you for the success story.
Yeah,
this
it was
morning.
great.
It's
I was very happy this morning.
Love that.
Very happy.
It's fantastic.
Those are the calls we like. we don't like going on any of them, but if we're gonna go, I like to go on stuff where everybody's stuff is still safe.
Fantastic.
So
Fantastic. Well, I tell you what, this has been the Fire Marshal's Report for today. With Brian Fine, I'm David Wood. Y'all have a great and safe holiday season.